Happy Wednesday, everybody! Now, before you crucify me for this video, know that I'm pro-life. If I'm going to be crucified, I want to be crucified for the right reasons. I'm making this video to promote dialogue and empathy. Why are people pro-choice? And I'm basing what I'm saying here on conversations that I've had with pro-choice individuals, which, if I can brag a little, oftentimes ended with a hug. I found that some people believe that abortion is okay because they believe that the preborn are not human beings. Right? That makes sense. If the preborn aren't human beings, then it would be perfectly okay to stop them from doing whatever they're doing up until the point that they're born. I was surprised, however, that this wasn't a very common belief. Most people that I've personally encountered did believe that the preborn were human beings. And for a frame of reference, most of my conversations happened on a variety of college campuses in New England and the Northwest. Most especially the University of Idaho, which is in Idaho, and then also a couple colleges up in Massachusetts and New York State. I've also met people who believe that the preborn are human beings, but also believe that they do not necessarily yet have a right to life. And therefore, abortion ideally should be avoided, but is okay. That can segue into a very philosophical question very, very quickly. We start asking questions like, where does our right to life come from? And that question already begs the even more fundamental question of, do we have a right to life? Is the right to life a real thing? Maybe it's not our humanity that gives us a right to life, but rather our intelligence, or perhaps our self-awareness, or our consciousness. This conversation becomes very tricky because if we assume that we have a right to life, and if we assume it's based on this or that principle, then whatever principle that we decide on can have very significant ramifications. And we can find ourselves asking questions like, does a gorilla have more of a right to life than a newborn child? Or on the flip side, if we posit that it is indeed our humanity that gives us a right to life, as I would posit, are we able to explain that without starting to talk about religion? And then from there we get into those conversations about separation of church and state and the proper relationship there. So yes, those conversations get very, very interesting on a philosophical level, but my personal favorite was conversations that were based on another line of thought. I met a lot of people that believe that yes, the preborn are humans, and yes, since they are humans, they have a right to life. But the mother of the child also has certain rights that are coming in conflict with that right to life. And in some circumstances, the mother can choose that other right over the right to life of the preborn. If we talked about whether or not the preborn are human beings or not, that ended up being mostly a scientific conversation. If we talked about whether human beings have a right to life, that was, of course, a very philosophical conversation. But if we talked about valuing this right over that, that could be philosophical, but usually it was more of an empathetic conversation, talking about things like the right to bodily autonomy and the right to financial stability. So often was a segue into talking about, how's the mom doing? What does she need right now? And oftentimes my impression was that this was the heart of the conversation. My experience was that underneath so many of the pro-choice reasonings and arguments was simply this sentiment of compassion. I'm pro-life, and I deeply respect that compassion. So 3 questions. Are the preborn human beings? Do human beings have a right to life based on being human beings? And when the right to life comes in conflict with other rights, what right is chosen first? Oofta! Alright guys, please like and subscribe. If you know someone who would like this video, please send them a link. And of course, feel free to crucify me in the comments. I'll see you next Wednesday. God bless and ciao.